from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. Thank you all for tuning in to our live program today. We're on YouTube, Twitter, now X, Twitch, Rumble, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. And also on your favorite podcast listening platforms like Apple, Google, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your content. So make sure to subscribe and follow us there. We've got a packed show for all of y'all today. And I mean, really, really packed. Like, I think we're like at 10 or 11 stories for the show today. So we're going to get right into the program. So make sure to subscribe, follow us. And now without further ado, join me for the double espresso that's going to power me through 11 stories for us practitioners this morning, because a lot's happening. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Yeah, it's good. No comment. Let's move on. Go check out our Substack while you're at it. Apple is releasing a patch to address significant zero-day exploits that are available in the wild. This is version 17.4 for all your iPad OS and iOS, and then iPad OS and iOS of the older versions, 16.7.6, to cover the security defects, confirmed exploitations in the wild. With a TARS note, Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been exploited. The one is the kernel issue CVE 2024-23225. An attacker with arbitrary kernel read and write capability may be able to bypass kernel memory protection. Apple is aware of the report that this may have been already exploited. So this is a memory corruption issue. The other one is the RT kit CVE 2024-23296. An attacker with arbitrary kernel read and write capability may be able to bypass kernel memory protections. Again, another exploit there. You want to make sure you get your devices everywhere updated now. There's a lot to the story. Android, for their end, have also released their update for March of this year, resolving 38 different vulnerabilities, 2 of which are critical issues in the system component. Those are CVEs 2024-0039er and 23717. The 2 critical flaws could lead to remote code execution and elevation of privilege. The most severe is the critical security vulnerability in the system component that could lead to remote code execution with no additional execution privileges needed. Both flaws were addressed in the first part of Android's March 2024 security update, which arrived on devices on March 1st. That's the security patch level, which resolves 11 other vulnerabilities. Then there's a second patch level that resolves all 38 defects. That one was released on the 5th of March. On Monday, Google also announced patches for more than 50 vulnerabilities in Pixel devices, including 16 critical severity flaws leading to remote code execution and elevation of privilege. And that's significant because CISA on their end have added the Pixel phone and the Sun Hilo software to its KEV catalog. The vulnerability is CVE 2023-21237. When it patched the flaw in June of last year, Google warned that it was aware of a limited targeted exploitation. The company published a security bulletin for Pixel phones a week after the general Android security bulletin went unnoticed. This impacts the framework component, and it relates to hiding foreground service notifications due to misleading or insufficient UI. An attacker could exploit it to obtain sensitive information without the need for additional execution privileges or user interaction. There does not appear to be any public information on the exploitation of the vulnerability, but nonetheless, CISA has added it to the KEV catalog, and you want to make sure you get this one on your Pixel devices addressed as soon as humanly possible. In good news coming out of S4 in Miami, the ultimate event for OT and ICS, energy giant Southern Company has said that in the past year, they set out to inventory all other hardware, software, and firmware and equipment running in one of their Mississippi substations in an effort to try to create a software bill of materials for the OT site. Now, this is significant, being that I'm in this industry now, spent 20 years in fintech, I'm celebrating my 1 year anniversary this month with AP4 Group, and we work with a lot of these organizations. And I can tell you, SBOM is something where a lot of these folks don't even know where to get started on it. And Southern Company's cybersecurity team here actually took a ground level approach. Alex Whitticus, the principal cybersecurity architect at Southern and head of the SBOM project, said collecting and correlating information on all hardware, software, firmware, and interdependencies in the system for the SBOM supplied the energy company with a deeper understanding of all the software components in the substation and their potential exploitable vulnerabilities. Now, how they did this is actually really fascinating. You would think they got information from someone. Nope, that's not what they did at all. They went to the substation and they inventory things one by one by hand, the old fashioned way. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think there's nothing better in security when you're hands on doing these things. When you're hands on inspecting a device and you're going, what software does it have? What hardware does it have? How does it all come together? What are its dependencies? How critical is it for the operation of our substation? If there was a vulnerability, how would we address it? That's how you practice security, folks. And the folks at Southern get it. They absolutely get it. Southern cataloged a total of 18 control network system devices from 2 vendors, 8 physical security devices from 3 vendors, 4 cybersecurity and telecom devices from 4 vendors, 8 OT monitoring systems from 6 vendors, and 1 OT fault system device from 1 vendor. And you can take a look at all of that. That's significant again. And they took the IT and the OT aspect with it all together. Great job. This was being presented at S4 this week in Miami. So great conference. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it out to Miami this year. I was there last year, and I urge, if you're in the OT ICS space, don't miss the show in Miami. It really is one hell of a show. And so this is absolutely great. Attackers and criminals are targeting misconfigured servers running Apache, Hadoop, Yarn, Docker, Confluence, or Redis with a new Golang-based malware that automates the discovery and compromise of the host. The malicious tools used in the campaign take advantage of the configuration weakness and exploit an old vulnerability in Confluence to execute code on the machine. Researchers at cloud forensics and incident response company Cato Security discovered the campaign, analyzed the payloads used in the attack, bash scripts, and Golang ELF binaries. The researchers noted the intrusion set is similar to previously reported cloud attacks, some of them attributed to threat actors like Team, TNT, Watchdog, and CISA. They started investigating the attack after getting initial access alert on a Docker Engine API honeypot with a new container based on the Alpine Linux being spawned on the server. The new Golang malware payloads that are responsible for identifying and exploiting hosts running services for Hadoop, Yarn, Docker, and Confluence and Redis. The names of the payloads are likely a poor attempt at disguising them as bash scripts. However, they are 64-bit Golang ELF binaries. So we see that coming. Cato has a full technical analysis of everything they discovered, including IOCs and TTPs. Those are available in the show notes. Go check them out. A job well done by that team there. The NSA is sharing new guidance to help organizations limit adversary movement on their internal networks by adopting, are you ready for it? Zero Trust Framework principles. There. New word. Zero Trust. I'm kidding. I'm joking. We're all zero trusted out of our noses at this point. Hell, Chris and Falone and I do a show on Fridays where now we're talking about these 7 pillars of zero trust. We're going to get into that this Friday at 11 a.m. So you want to tune in as we address the first pillar for the show. So advancing the zero trust maturity is done gradually by addressing various components or pillars that threat actors can leverage in an attack. And here, this is kind of a MITRE defend, MITRE attack type of release from the NSA. Here's how you use MITRE. Here's how you use zero trust in order to deflect these types of attacks. Here's what are the common ways we see these pillars attacked. And here's what you need to have tools in place in order to identify malicious activity in your environment using zero trust. All in all, pretty good, worthy of a read from the NSA. Again, NSA puts a lot of stuff out there, so this is significant and very, very helpful. The United States is imposing sanctions on 2 individuals and 5 entities linked to the development and distribution of the predator commercial spyware used to target Americans, including government officials and journalists. This is coming from the office of OFAC, designing 2 individuals and 5 entities associated with the Intellexia Consortium for their role in developing, operating, and distributing commercial spyware technologies used to target Americans, including U.S. government officials, journalists, and policy experts. The sanctions target Intellexia Consortium's Israeli founder Tal Jonathan Dilian and Polish corporate specialist Sarah Alexandra Faisal Hamu. The sanctioned companies are Citrox AD in North Macedonia, Citrox Holdings with a really, really long name that's Hungarian, ZRT. Intellexa Limited in Ireland, Intellexa SA in Greece, and Telestris Limited in Ireland, meaning anyone doing business with any one of these entities or these individuals could be subject to U.S. sanctions, and any U.S. companies would have been given notice to continue providing services to both companies. This action only comes days after Recorded Future revealed that despite recent calls for tighter regulation in the commercial spyware space and the public outcry about Predator's shady deployment case, the spyware was already spreading to new countries in Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean, essentially a new version of Pegasus. And in other news, some big news in our industry. One, Axonius, the well-entrenched attack surface management space, banked $200 million in an extended Series E led by Accel, Lightspeed Venture Partners, and growth equity firm Stripes also took an equity position in the company. The new funding round comes as the company hit its 100 million ARR benchmark and will be used to accelerate innovation and scale across the globe. They've raised approximately 600 million since 2017, one of the so-called cybersecurity unicorns with a valuation of $2.6 billion. So job well done for them. And the great team behind Team 8 raised $500 million in new funds, bringing its total assets under management to just over $1 billion. The Tel Aviv and New York-based company divides its activities in 2 separate areas, venture creation and venture capital. For those who don't know, one of the things Team 8 will do is they'll get a bunch of CISOs in a room, say, what's the problem? Okay, great. This is the problem. They'll go and create a company to solve that problem. They've done that with many organizations. They've further invested in 21 additional companies, achieved 8 total exits, with Dig and Thailand being acquired by Palo Alto for just over $1 billion during 2023. It's also traditionally focused on cyber. It's now expanded into data and AI, fintech, and digital health. The new money will be divided into 3 separate funds: venture creation and enterprise at $110 million, venture creation digital health at $70 million, and venture capital at $235 million. The final 85 is doubling down on Team 8's most successful companies in an ongoing basis. So all in all, some money being poured into security. And our final story of the day, CrowdStrike has announced plans to acquire Flow Security, a cloud data runtime security solution to enhance its cloud security capabilities and protection for data in motion and at rest for both endpoints and cloud environments. So all in all, consolidation, more money coming in, more startups. This is good things. We were worried about this earlier. I said this is going to be the year of consolidation. We're seeing consolidation. We're seeing VCs and companies still successfully raising money. That all bids well for our industry. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live with all the latest and greatest. Tune in 11 a.m. Friday. Myself and Chris Fallon will be talking Zero Trust and 2 CISOs having a conversation. It's kind of a behind the door look. It's not something we overly prepare for. It's not something we script. It's really 2 CISOs having an honest conversation. Sometimes conversations you wouldn't hear anywhere else. We're challenging ourselves to be that bold on the show. So go and tune in to that 11 a.m. Friday. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.